Okay, so I'm going to do something very similar to what Chris has just done and just give you a very brief overview of what's happening in Wales. So as I said earlier, my name is Sian James and I am the Programme Manager for the Creative Learning Through the Arts programme in Wales. For those of you who may or may not know, but Wales is currently leading the way really in a groundbreaking creative learning programme which puts arts and creativity at the heart of education. It's a 5-year programme which is jointly funded by ourselves, the Arts Council of Wales and Welsh Government, to the tune of £20 million, started in 2015 and is currently running until 2020. So it's a programme about change and improvement across all schools in Wales. So this was an open opportunity for every school in Wales to be part of the programme, primary schools, secondary schools and special schools also. And it's about promoting new ways of learning. It's about creating bespoke programmes for teachers and learners. And it's about bringing the arts and using the arts as an intervention to kind of make that difference. We've got 3 national priorities in Wales, which is to reduce the impact of educational attainment on deprivation and to raise standards in numeracy and literacy. So these programmes are very much focused about raising attainment in those areas. If you were to become a Lead Creative School, which is the main kind of building block of our Creative Learning Through the Arts programme, you would be in the programme for 2 years. And how that works is it's an inquiry-based approach. So every school has a development plan, and what a school would do would identify an area in which it wants to improve on, and it would identify a group of learners in which it wants to use this way of working to improve attainment. So basically, they would come up with what we would ask an inquiry question, and we'd ask them to keep this really sort of simple, to be honest. We don't want the schools to come in with any kind of contrived ideas. We want them to sort of learn as they're going along all of the time. So they would start with an inquiry question. Then we would gather some evidence and benchmarking at the start of the programme to see where these learners are. And we would then match them with a creative practitioner. So we've got over 900 practitioners working in Wales with us at the moment, and they come from various backgrounds. So we've got composers, we've got storytellers, we've got writers, we've got producers, we've got theatre makers, web developers, and this is really about using creative approaches to teaching and learning across the curriculum, not just in those subjects where you think the art or the expressive arts, for example. So it's about being creative in subjects like maths, science, history, and echoes a lot of the things that we heard about this morning. At the centre of all our projects is Pupil Voice. So Pupil Voice is there from the beginning. They help shape the programme. They choose the practitioners they want to work with. And they're there through the whole process, from the start of the process right through to the evaluation. And what's also consistent within the 2-year project is self-reflection. So every kind of step of the way, we ask pupils to look back and self-reflect and see where they are. And you know, if the programme or the project decides to take a different direction, then we encourage that also. It's not about having any descriptive ideas at the start. So here are just some numbers of the kind of people that we're working with. There's a little bit of Welsh in there as well for you, just to confuse you. As I said, we're working with 622 Lead Creative Schools in Wales at the moment. We were given a target by Welsh Government to engage with 1/3 of the schools in Wales, so we've exceeded that target. There's 233 creative agents being trained, and as I said, there's actually more than 900 creative practitioners working on it. There's well over 1,000 there, as you can see. And every stakeholder, that triad of people that we look to work with when we're doing a creative learning programme, you've got the creative agent, the creative practitioner, and the teacher. They've all been trained. There's a very bespoke kind of deep training programme that sits alongside this. So they've all been trained within the same pedagogy. So I'm just going to very, very quickly share with you some of the impact and some of the difference that this is making in Wales. I don't have a load of bullet points, sorry, I just have an image, which I think is great and kind of sums up creative learning a little bit. But what we're seeing happening in Wales at the minute is that working in this way is improving team working and that collaboration between teacher to teacher, teacher to pupil, and pupil to pupil as well. That collaboration is coming through very, very strongly. Teachers are more willing to take risks, and they feel empowered to encourage their learners to do the same as well. So that's a strong message coming out. There is certainly an increase in academic attainment in literacy and numeracy also. We are seeing that in some of the results that are coming through when we look at the pre- and post-intervention testing that we do with the schools in Wales. There's definitely an increase. And also in attendance, people want to come to school more than they wanted to before. Their general well-being is a lot better. They're far happier. So it's really having a more kind of rounded influence on people. Teachers are also reminded as to why they went into the profession in the first place. This is reimagining and reigniting their passion for the profession, and with that we're seeing that a lot. And I think the most important thing that's coming through at the minute is that learners are leading their own learning. So they're at the kind of forefront of it, and they're really kind of guiding it, and that co-construction, working with the artist, working with the teacher, is proving to be very successful. We also know that we are developing an understanding of what creativity is. So we are developing a common language that we're all using, so we're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet. And schools are really starting to embed this now within their whole school. So there's a whole school kind of change approach happening. And they're also sharing that with other schools within the clusters that may not have been part of the programme to date. So we're disseminating that learning and expertise and harnessing on the hundreds of schools that we've been able to work with to date, and getting them to kind of share the learning that's coming from it. So what's next for us? Just very quickly, as I mentioned at the beginning, I think I mentioned at the beginning, I can't remember if I mentioned at the beginning, but we are going through an educational reform in Wales at the moment. So we're developing a brand new curriculum, which is being designed by teachers, for teachers, and it's been a tremendous benefit actually, and privilege for us to be part of the OECD pilot project. And this curriculum will be ready in schools it'll be available from January 2020, and then will be rolled out from 2022. And there's 4 core purposes at the heart of the new curriculum. So these are the 4 purposes. So we want our young people to develop into these things. So we want them to be ambitious, capable learners, enterprising, creative contributors, healthy, confident individuals, and ethical, informed citizens. So it's great to see that creativity is actually at the heart of our new curriculum and is going to be underpinning everything that we do moving forward. For those of you who are here tomorrow, you'll hear our Minister for Education speaking a little bit more about the curriculum reform that's happening in Wales. And she'll go into a little bit more detail about how that's being rolled out across the country. But for us as an Arts Council, we're thrilled to be working on this. We're incredibly proud of what we're achieving, and we're currently working across the whole programme with 76% of all of the schools in Wales at the moment. And I think the next challenge for us is to improve on that, and try and work with some of those schools that haven't been able to benefit from the programme to date. Thanks very much.